let's say a few weeks, months, we've had shows on talent retention, entrepreneurship, transportation, and every one of those shows, the conversation somehow goes to development. IKEA, what's being built here and there. Why are these conversations overlapping seemingly at development, or do they?
Yeah, I think they do. Cities are about human interaction, face-to-face interaction. And you get these projects like the Loop Trolley, like the Arch Grounds revitalization, like IKEA. These are places that bring people together. And I think we get a sense in St. Louis, there's a kind of a urban buzz, a feel that we're kind of turning the corner and we're creating more density, more intensity of human interaction around these big projects. So I think people are excited.
Okay, so is buzz, does buzz equal buildings?
Buildings create buzz, right? The right kind of buildings. You know, one of the problems we've had in the past is what I call the edifice complex. We think that building, a big building is what it's all about. And, if you build a major project, but it's isolated from the fabric of the city and there's not the interaction and the excitement around it as it's woven into the fabric of the city, it fails. But I think in this case, we're seeing projects that are part of the urban fabric and are really going to ignite a fire under the city in a way.
Okay, that kind of leads right to the next question I had written down here. What do we know about how people connect to the infrastructure around them? That you're kind of our philosopher in residence. Take that one on.
Yeah, sure. I mean, once again, the right kind of urban amenities and urban public spaces require or promote an interaction among people from different economic classes, from different racial and ethnic backgrounds, from different religious groups, and they kind of mingle and interact, and that's what makes cities exciting. Not that everybody becomes buddy-buddy, but that you form the kind of interaction that smooths relationships, that creates the exchange of ideas, that creates new forms of music. The blues came out of the interaction of these different groups in the city.
So is everybody in our region maybe feeling this buzz, or is this just something we're talking about, the people who live and work in the kind of the central corridor, as we call it? Does this reach out beyond there?
That's a good question. They should be interested, however, because I think this is going to be the central corridor with Cortex, with the entertainment functions, with the medical functions, with the new biotech initiative, is going to be an economic engine for the entire region. And so the fact that we're creating this urban environment with a kind of buzz that makes it exciting is part of what's going to drive the economic development of the entire region. So real estate values in Chesterfield are going to be affected by whether this central corridor takes off with exciting new jobs and new development.
Will our current headlines be meaningful 10 or 20 years from now? And I'm thinking of IKEA, the Loop Trolley. Will those things still be having a meaningful impact down the road?
Well, it depends on, much depends on what we do. Do we once again cause them to work with the other function in the city, so the different land uses kind of work together, or do they become isolated, and do they become simply a project that occurs in one part of the city and surrounded by an asphalt parking lot or something? So much will depend on, and I think St. Louis is getting to the point, for many years it was like, we'll take anything, please come, invest. But I think now we're beginning to see that we have something that's really beginning to take off, and I hope the city will become more selective and choose the kind of functions in the future that really complement these amenities that we're building today.
So what you're saying is we're becoming more dateable, and now we need to be selective.
That's right. That's right. We're not a cheap date anymore. We're pretty good, right? So you're going to have to put something on the table if you want to come here. And the fact that IKEA, it usually locates in a suburban setting, right? The fact that they wanted to locate in the city of St. Louis. Here it is, a city that's lost more than half of its population, right? Has tremendous issues with poverty and loss of population and vacancy and abandonment, but they wanted to be there because they see the urban feel. They wanted that image of young professionals, young people who are excited to be in an urban environment.
Changing our story internally and externally a little bit, maybe?
I think we have to change the story we tell about St. Louis. We've talked about this on this program. I mean, people in St. Louis tend to have this sort of what's the matter with St. Louis attitude, when in fact there's a lot happening. And by the way, it's much more than these big projects. It's the neighborhoods too, where I think there are people who are discovering all these small places in St. Louis that relate to these bigger projects, but that are exciting places to be, with restaurants and bars and coffee shops and jobs.